Hey, it's Beth with Ruach.Live, and I want to share something with you. I had the pleasure of speaking with Bob Quaid from the ABM project, that stands for Aborted Babies Memorial Project, and Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks recently. They have two very important projects going on in the sweet spot and nationwide. Actually, this can be worldwide. It's in my heart to be able to share with you this very important thing that's going on with them, because it's an opportunity for us to have a way, a tangible way, to say, we're sorry, our hearts are hurting and broken for these babies who have been murdered through abortion, and then also to walk alongside the mothers and the daddies as hopefully we're going to be able to speak to them and bring healing to them. So we've had some technical issues during the recording, and we've done our best to mix it all out so the issues are gone. Thank you, Doc. But you'll be able to hear the God message from Denise and from Bob. So bear with any echo that you might detect and really zone in on the heart of the message. And in this very first segment, Bob Quaid from the ABM project talks about how the project came about.
The ABM project got started last year, towards the end of last year, when our city council had put up close to 100 white flags in our duck pond in Temecula, memorializing all the family members and people that had apparently lost their lives due to COVID. Mm-hmm. So we watched these flags go up, and in memory of these lives lost, we also had them form a READY Commission, a Race, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee, which I went to a couple of meetings, and they started trying to identify all these underrepresented groups in our society and everything. So they listed, homeless and the disabled and the veterans and this and that, and I thought to myself, I've always had a heart for the unborn children, yes. and being a member of National Right to Life and in all these other organizations and going on marches for life, and I thought, we need to have something memorializing babies' lives lost in the city. And if they're willing to put up these COVID flags, maybe the council will entertain an idea of putting a memorial marker in our duck pond, which is in Temecula. That's where we have memorials for the veterans, and we were going to pay for it. The city paid for these flags. We were going to pay for this memorial marker. We just wanted them to give us a spot in the duck pond to place this memorial marker. But our councilwoman, who was the only one who was in support of us, Jessica Alexander, she said, well, it would be helpful for you to get some petitions. So we went out and got all these petitions. I started circulating them around to work and at our church. And in fact, that's where I met Denise, because she came and visited our church, and while I was circulating these petitions, suddenly I ran into her and her husband, who had just come to visit. And we're like, oh my, and she said, I'm with Save the Storks. And we're like, oh my gosh, God's bringing this together. Yeah. Do you want to work with me on this? And she immediately said, yes.
Yeah.
So I go, okay, let's team up, and we'll I'll be Mr. Inside, you be Miss Outside.
Right.
Call it that. Because she's out in the field all the time. Yes. And so we gathered these petitions, took them to the city council, over 100, mind you. Took them to the city council, crickets. Got nothing from the city council. So that was quite disappointing. But then God spoke to me and said, well, Bob, you're preaching to the wrong people.
Right.
The duck pond is not going to reach a lot of people. You need to go to my people. You need to take this to the churches, not just America, to the world.
Yes.
And so I had my wife, my beautiful wife, who's a graphic designer. She designed a little logo for this ABM project, and I contacted a couple of places that were able to give me referrals for places that make memorial markers. One of them, the affordable markers in here in Southern California, and we managed to get them to do a couple designs for us. God led me to Psalm 139, 13 and 14, which reads, you made all my delicate inner parts of my body, knitted me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. We thought, wow, that would be great to have this on the marker.
Yes.
So we sent all this over to the marker company, they came up with these designs, and they actually came up with two of them. One had a baby in the heart, and then one had a baby in like the father's arms.
Yeah.
And so we had these two markers graphically drawn up and kind of put it out there, started putting it out there to the churches. Denise was contacting the churches in our area here in Temecula, Murrieta, the Temecula Valley, the sweet spot. And this one church, Tim Thompson with 412 Church, immediately jumped on it. He says, yes, we want one of those. They ordered one. They had it installed at their dedication. They dedicated their new building back in March. It was beautifully landscaped. They put it in the ground right in front of the entrance to their church and their new church, and with flowers and everything. And we took a picture of that, put it on. Then I had a website designed with ABM, the ABM project. Here's another God thing. So I'm thinking, that's got to be, ABM project's got to be taken. So I go on domain names and I put in the ABM project. It's available. I'm like, okay, sign me up. You know, I grabbed that domain name, and so we were on our way. And I got a web designer through our church who, you know, gratuitously created a website for us, put the pictures in there. We did some narrative, and it's now on the web, the internet, www.theabmproject.com. And you will see our logo and a picture of the first marker that has been installed by 412 Church, and then it'll give you a narrative and tell you how to order one of these markers. They're only like $700, which originally it started at $2,500, and we got it down to $700, which we thought was affordable. And every church in the world, if they cannot afford $700, we have donations that can help them pay for this marker. All they have to do is have a willing heart to represent and memorialize these babies' lives lost, give a place for their congregation to come and pray for the end to this abomination in our country and in the world, and for people to remember the children that were lost, even their own members, where women can come and grieve, men can come and grieve over the babies' lives they've lost. This is something that's been forgotten by our churches. It needs to be awakened in our minds, and we're hoping that this memorial marker will help people remember this and to pray for an end to this abomination, this evil that has been the biggest plague, the biggest sin in our country that I can recall in my 68 years of life.
You're joining a talk with Bob Quaid from the Aborted Babies Memorial Project and Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks. I'm Beth with Ruach.Live, and both of these projects are concerned with choice, and both are approaching the issue of choice from a different perspective. I decided to take a different perspective with Denise and ask about the role of men in the issue of abortion.
I had the honor, I'm in with Save the Storks. That's my full-time job. What we do is our fun, it's what would you call it, our volunteer project for sure.
Our mission.
There you go. But
mission from God.
Absolutely. So I mean, I'll talk a little bit more about the appointment. God brings people in our lives for a reason. So, but I was honored. I got to speak in front of about 4,500 men at Ignite Men Conference at Liberty University, and my topic was my testimony, my abortive story, right? And so when I did tell the story, and I can get into that, I won't get into that right now, but unless you want me to, but basically I went in front of these men and said that we need you to be bold. We need you to be courageous. We need you to look at the person in the eye, even if they say, I got it all handled, they don't. They're confused. People are telling them all these things, and they might not be married. They might, so probably chances are they're not. But after I was done, it was on a Friday night when I spoke, and then the next day we had a full day. Even after I spoke, I went to our booth area, and these men that night and the next day came up to me, many, I can't even count, the weeping spirit, because they realized what they had done. And it just brought up this thing that they never really felt they had a voice in, right? And it truly is, that was their child. And some of them even said, go get an abortion. It's your, it's you do whatever you need to do. But what we need to hear from these men is a little bit more of a voice of, I'm here, we can do this. And if they can't keep it, there's always adoption.
Absolutely.
So what can we do to save this life? Because that life deserves a chance.
Yes.
And some of them were post-abortive, like I said. They realized what they had done. One gentleman came and had 5. And just the guilt of that.
Yes.
The guilt of that decision, because they were not saved at that time. They were part of the world, and they weren't thinking clear. When you're in that state, you don't think clear.
Right. You can find more information about Save the Storks at savethestorks.com. And you can find out about the Aborted Babies Memorial Project by going to theabmproject.com, theabmproject.com. This is Ruach.Live, and I'm Beth, and you're hearing a talk that I had recently with Bob Quaid from the ABM Project and Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks. I've always been taken back by the number of couples or women in church considering abortion. It never occurred to me before. I asked Denise about that.
That's the unfortunate story right now that's going on in the churches. They're not talking about this. And there are, is it 4 to 5 women in, 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 women in the church right now are contemplating abortion or are pregnant and they don't know what to do.
Wow.
But the problem is in the churches, and this is what Save the Storks does not do, there's no judgment, right? And so their fear of judgment, either I'm not married or I am married, how can I keep this child? We can't afford the children we have, whatever it might be. I mean, there's a plethora of reasons, but I think that's where the church needs to be able to step up and have that counseling, that ministry.
Yes.
Because it's happening each and every day. I mean, when I was with, Calvary Costa Mesa, I never told people about it, about what I went through. I was very ashamed.
Yeah.
And I know that my Lord, once I've asked for forgiveness, it's done.
Yes.
But, you still carry this. I've carried this around for 35 years.
We all know that abortion is a very divisive issue in the church and out of the church. I'm Beth from Ruach.Live, and I recently had the pleasure of sitting and speaking with Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks, and also with Bob Quaid from the Aborted Babies Memorial Project, and about the issue of abortion. As it turns out, Denise also had an abortion years ago, and she was willing to share her story with me.
I wasn't at Calvary at that time, but I was at a Lutheran church, of course, and I was young and going about life. I always had faith, but was I truly living it? Probably not, right? So I had a boyfriend at the time, and found ourselves, one day I wasn't feeling good, so I found myself like, oh, could I be pregnant?
Right. How old were you?
I was 22.
Okay.
At the time, and I said something to him about that, and he said, well, let's keep it, let's keep it. And I go, okay. And then I told my parents, and I'm not here to blame my parents.
Right.
They thought they were doing the right thing by me, okay, and I felt a duty. I was the oldest daughter. I felt a duty to listen to them. So my mom, we set an appointment. I went in and talked to a doctor, and he said, oh, it's super simple. It's over. You just go in, and it's really not a baby. It's, like they like to say, a glob of cells right now. But I was about 6 to 7 weeks pregnant, I think. I don't know for sure. They did the ultrasound, but I couldn't see it. And so the day of my abortion, my mom drove me, of course, and I'll remember laying there waiting to go into the surgery room and hoping my boyfriend would come.
Yeah.
See, it's one thing to say, let's keep it,
Right.
but you've got to be bold, and I was waiting for him to come and rescue me. You know, because I was weak. I was very weak. I wanted to be the good daughter, but I didn't know. I was confused. I named her Kaisa after my great-great-grandmother, and I didn't know what it meant, but in Scandinavian it means hope. And I just named her recently. And it really, to be true, it's a Kaisa Matilda. Matilda is my grandmother's middle name. But Kaisa would be here today with me.
Yeah.
Okay, Kaisa would be next to me right here, maybe. Yes. So, you know, of course I would have, you know, but to me, I was so confused.
Yeah.
I was a very confused young woman.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but if someone would have come to me and said, Denise, you don't have to do this.
Yes.
Okay, we're here for you.
Yes.
And we'll take you through this.
Yes.
I would have had her with me. I know I'm going to see her in heaven, though.
Yes.
And I know it's going to be a glorious time. I will run up to her and I will hug her. I don't know if I'll ever let go. You know, and I think that if I would have been able to, yes, of course, absolutely. So that's where pregnancy resource centers truly come in. The church can come in.
Yes.
I mean, I needed someone to say, Denise, you don't need to do this.
Right.
Okay, you don't need to do this, and this is what we can do to come alongside you. And that's what that you know, like the Lord would wrap his arms around me, and that's what we need. So again, I went through the abortion. It was the most horrific thing I've ever experienced in my life. It is not what they say. It is not easy. And after that, I developed an eating disorder. I wanted at times to take my life. And but the redemptive grace and mercy of our Lord brought me to Save the Storks 35 years later, you know. So, I mean, you know, I'm married now. I've been married 32 years. I have 3 beautiful children. The Lord has blessed me so abundantly. And then I was introduced to this ministry. And it's something I've always wanted to do. I just didn't know what it looked like.
Right. How was God going to make that happen?
How was God going to make this happen? But again, he brings people in our lives. So this girl, when I was in entertainment at Disney back in the 80s, she said, Denise, I know about this thing, because she knew my abortion story. And then brought me to Save the Storks. They met with me, and that's how it all developed. But that's my story is very common. It's not, unfortunately, it's not an uncommon story, I'm finding out. And I've also been involved in women's conferences where women come weeping. I had a mom that came weeping that made her daughter, like my mom, get an abortion, and her guilt of that. And it was her grandchild, right? So this is happening and no one's talking about it. And there are people, I had one man come to me, his wife never recovered, and she is an alcoholic and drugs and things like that. And that needs to stop. It doesn't need to be that. And that's really what's great about Save the Storks and PRCs and Pregnancy Resource Center. There's more pregnancy resource centers than there are Planned Parenthood, by the way. And no one knows that.
Wow. No.
Yeah, there's only like 680 something or something around the 600s Planned Parenthood, but there's over 2,700 pregnancy resource centers.
Storytelling is the way the Bible was first preached to the people, when you think about it. Denise Meinhardt's story is a great example of the value of Save the Storks. I'm Beth from Ruach.Live, and thank you for listening to this replay of an interview that I did with Denise Meinhardt and Bob Quaid from the Aborted Babies Memorial Project. Save the Storks works in tandem with pregnancy resource centers, also called PRCs, like Birth Choice here in the Sweet Spot. And Denise shared the value of working together and of pregnancy resource centers like Birth Choice.
I think that the one thing, what is really great about pregnancy resource centers and Save the Storks for sure that help. We help the PRCs get their, we help them gear up and get their marketing so people know they're there, right? And then they help them get their, websites and all this stuff, right? So everything they need, because people don't know they're there. So, but what is truly a blessing is we actually give them choices, okay? So there's a choice. Keep the baby, and I can't afford it. Okay, let's work on that. There's a lot of ministries out there that come alongside and will help fund that mom all the way through. I can't afford the baby. Well, once I have the baby, now what do I do? There's even ministries that come alongside that help them after the baby's born. And then the biggest thing too is adoption. There's people out there that want babies and want to take care of a child. And so let's give these women options and friends, by the way, family and friends. They sometimes don't support the pregnancy, or I'm not going to take care of this child. I can't take, and that's fine. But that's again where the churches need to step up, and we as a community, a body of Christ, need to step up, right? And be available.
I'm Beth with Ruach.Live, and this is a replay of an interview that I did recently with Denise Meinhardt and Bob Quaid. Denise is with Save the Storks, and Bob is with the ABM Project. The main topic is the abortion crisis that we have in our country, really, and in the world, and how these two services approach the crisis from their own unique perspective. In this clip, Bob talks about a personal family experience with abortion.
My sister-in-law, who became pregnant as a teenager, living in her parents' home, and of course they were Catholic. Abortion was out of the question, but it was like, you're going to carry this baby to term, and you're going to put this baby up for adoption. So she ended up coming and staying with us, and the baby was put up for adoption. It was one of those blind adoptions where you were never supposed to know where the baby went and everything. But if she had aborted that baby, what God had planned would never have happened again, because all these years later, her son, who grew up not far from where her mom was, her birth mom, both of them ended up in North Carolina. And then he started looking for his birth mom because of some medical history that he needed to find regarding his child. And he tracked her down. And they reconnected again and established a relationship, and just hugged each other and did all this, and they see each other all the time now. So it's just in talk all the time. So I think about what would not have happened if she had had an abortion, and so many stories like that. If you just have the baby and put up for adoption, you still have a life that you can connect with sometime later, maybe down the road, whenever God wills.
You can find more information about Save the Storks at SaveTheStorks.com, and you can find out about the Aborted Babies Memorial Project by going to theabmproject.com. This is Ruach.Live, and I'm Beth, and you're hearing a talk that I had recently with Bob Quaid from the ABM Project and Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks. I asked Denise about Save the Storks operation now and in the future.
If PRC or somebody needs an ultrasound, we have lots of people we can connect with them, and Save the Storks will help that. One big thing about Save the Storks, if I may, is the Stork Buses, right? These are unbelievably incredible units or buses that are state-of-the-art, okay? With the Texas heartbeat law that came up, if they need to hear the heartbeat by 6 weeks, okay? So they need the best of the best. And these Stork Buses, I'm telling you right now, are amazing. We are going to possibly have over about 100 on the road by the end of this year, and we need more. We need more because people don't necessarily go to the PRCs, but we can go to where the people are. Okay, park it outside of a Planned Parenthood, park it outside of a concert at a park, down the street from a high school. It says free ultrasound, free, it's, all this stuff. Women come in that don't have a church, don't have a family, don't know where to go, and they go in, and guess what? 8 out of 10 women that see and hear their heartbeat, see the baby, hear the heartbeat, choose life. But it's getting to them before their family or Planned Parenthood or somebody gets to them, and love them and embrace them in love. That's one thing. Save the Storks. There's no guilt. We love on them. We embrace them. We meet them where they're at, and we give them the options they need to hear. And they're not alone.
Denise Meinhardt and Bob Quaid are with me today on Ruach.Live. I'm Beth, and we're talking about abortion, and Denise is sharing the preventative services that are offered by Save the Stork, and Bob is talking about the memorial project that is the ABM project, the Aborted Babies Memorials, that are planted at churches or businesses to memorialize the lost babies and to remind people of this deep-rooted evil that's in our culture. So why are we interviewing the two wonderful people at the same time? Because we're curious too. So we asked the connection, and Bob and Denise shared about divine appointments.
With ministries such as Save the Storks and Birth Choice as a Pregnancy Resource Center, I think we just have a responsibility, like you said, to get out there and get this known. And the memorial that the Lord gave to Bob, I mean, it was very interesting how we met. And then I spoke at the church that he goes to, and told my testimony and shared about Save the Storks with them and how he brought us together. We need help too with the ABM project.
Never just coincidences.
Oh no! But it was just this thing. It was just like so. And when we have these people that enter our lives, it's God's working, and we know He's present. And that just should give us comfort, knowing that.
You're joining a talk with Bob Quaid from the Aborted Babies Memorial Project and Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks. I'm Beth with Ruach.Live. Both of these projects are concerned with choice, and both are approaching the issue of choice from a different perspective. I asked Bob about the placement of the memorials around the community and around the nation.
No, it doesn't have to be in a church. Private individuals can put them on their property if they want. But I will say that on our website there is a 412, it was not the church's website, but there's another website that 412 is associated with, another 501c3 website. It's posted on our website, our ABM, the ABMproject.com website, where you can make a donation to this ministry so that we can pay for those churches that, there are churches when I was in South Carolina, there was all these little Baptist churches on every corner. There probably maybe
More
have like 10 or 12 churches. These small churches, $700 might be a lot of money for them. So we want to help them to be able to put one of these memorial markers on their premise, so their people, as you said, Beth, can come and pray and remember these children, and a place to meditate. One of the church pastors I talked to here in the Valley, they're going to do a meditation walk on their property. And he was talking about wanting to have one of these where people can come and sit and pray for, like, they want to remember a child that was lost that they gave up for abortion. And this is not to condemn anybody. There is no condemnation in Christ. We know that. So God's not condemning anybody for this, but it's to recognize that this is still going on. We still need to pray for it. We still need to remember these babies. And I'm calling and exhorting the members of God's church throughout the world, to approach your pastors. Go talk to your pastors about this memorial marker and see if you can convince them to put one of these in your church so that people can remember this. Okay, it's going to take God's people moving their pastors in this direction, because they're so distracted with so many things. It takes in people coming to them and saying, Pastor, this is what we want to have this.
Abortion is a very divisive issue in and outside of the church. I'm Beth from Ruach.Live, and I had the pleasure of speaking with Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks and Bob Quaid from the Aborted Babies Memorial Project about the issue of abortion. And in this next clip, Denise shares the importance of the ABM project for post-abortive moms and dads.
For me, a post-abortive person, and so many out there, millions actually, because of the millions of babies, it is a great place to go, and just memories and just lay it down. You know, and Satan wants to get in there and say, "Oh, you're a terrible person." For years, I kept on asking for forgiveness and forgiveness. You know, but you know, I think that it's a great place to go at these memorials. And also, you know, just to let your audience know this too, at Save the Storks with an S.com, there are a lot of resources on there for women and men that don't know what to do.
This is Ruach.Live. I'm Beth, and you're hearing a talk I had with Bob Quaid from the ABM Project and Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks. Now, both Bob and Denise share the details of who is currently assisting their projects and how you can also help.
Corporations, some corporations like Hobby Lobby, and
Thank
other.
God for Hobby Lobby, right?
And you know, a lot of ours is major donors. You know, there's people that have a lot of money, right? And they don't want their names out there, but they do. But there's also just the monthly, like even if $35, $50 a month, you know, and this is all tax deductible. We're a nonprofit, right? So the monthly donations are amazing, and you know, you can just go on the website. It's very simple, Simon, to do. No big deal. But that's how we don't get tax dollars. Okay? We don't get $200 and something million per year. Okay? We all we do is based on our donor. And their faithful giving. And that's how we fund Save the Storks and help PRCs and get these buses.
As I mentioned, that we do have there is a place on the website where you can to donate. You click that donate button, and it takes you to the Our Watch website. Where they've been gracious enough to receive donations, and then we can use that money to pay for one of these markers for a church that just doesn't work into their budget.
One way is just to go online and do a monthly donation or a one-time donation. It doesn't have to be monthly. You know, pray about it. You know, what is the Lord leading you to, right? And I bet some of these women and men have been thinking, how can I get involved? That's one big way to get involved, right? Another way is we do I'll have a stork ball coming up at the end of April, and it's actually in Denver, Colorado. If you cannot attend, that's fine. There is ways you can give to that that event, that ball.
If it's not snowing. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's on the 29th of April. But outside of that, there are different ways to get involved. The biggest is through donations. And then really locally at your pregnancy resource centers, but come to Save the Storks, and we help those PRCs. You know, not everybody has time, but you do possibly have an extra $35, $50, $100 per month that you could possibly give. So that's how we function. So www.SaveTheStorks with an S.com is how you can get on it, and you can see the donations and all that.
I'm Beth from Ruach.Live. Thank you for listening to this replay of an interview that I did recently with Denise Meinhardt and with Bob Quaid from the Aborted Babies Memorial Project. You can find out more about that project at theabmproject.com. Save the Storks has buses equipped with medical equipment and personnel to offer free ultrasounds for mothers who are expecting a baby and to offer them on-the-spot pregnancy counseling. I asked Denise about the locations of these buses in our area in the sweet spot.
Well, we have one in San Marcos, a bus. We have one in Chula Vista, a bus. We have one in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
But we don't have a bus here.
Okay. Yeah.
And I met with some wonderful women and some other person that I'm trying to get, we're trying to see what that looks like and try to get a bus here,
Yes.
right? And we need a bus in this area
Yes.
for sure, 100%. You know, I live here. We're based out of Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Is where Save the Storks is based out of. But we are all over the country, really, truly, you know, and so we work pretty much out of our homes is what we do.
Yeah.
But
Saves on rent.
yeah, it does. But then we do have an office, but in Colorado Springs. So yeah, so you know, that's kind of being in this area.
Yeah.
Not many people know about Save the Storks, right? And so it's all word of mouth,
Yes.
you know, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend type of thing. And same with the ABM project,
Yeah.
right? And so that's me living here
Yeah.
is kind of getting awareness out.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak at churches. I'd like to be able to do that more. I want to mention one more thing, and I didn't mention it. This is another way Satan's getting to these young women.
Okay.
It's called the abortion pill.
Okay.
And they're having abortion pill buses or vans now, where they're handing out a pill like a Tylenol, and they don't even have to go see a doctor, and it doesn't. It's terrible for you. It's not healthy for the mom, and they're saying it again. It's not a baby. It's just a glob of cells, right? Don't worry about it. It's easy. But they're. I don't want to get too graphic, but it's not an easy process. I mean, they take this pill, and you know, I don't know if they necessarily know how pregnant they are.
Right.
But basically, what happens is they take this pill, and then they say you'll have a heavy period, right? You know, but the problem is, it's not that.
Yes.
And just imagine what
What is it?
well, there could be body parts. A baby, you know, it's not. You could possibly see. We don't know. And some women I've heard that they can't get rid of the whole baby, you know, and infections could set in.
Yes.
You know, so these women are so desperate.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. They've been lied to.
Yeah.
Because and these abortion pill the pill vans are going around in border towns.
I wanted to add on a little bit to what you said about the lies. That you know, the Bible calls Satan the father of lies,
Yes.
and Satan has deceived this country and the world about abortion.
Yeah.
That it's a woman's right, reproductive right. It's her body, it's her choice,
Right.
it's a constitutional right. All this nonsense. And you know, a woman does have a choice. She can choose to keep her baby or put it up for adoption.
Yeah.
There's the choice right there. There's a couple other choices I won't mention, but you know, to get there.
Yeah.
But killing your baby is not a choice. That God is the creator of life, and God gives and God takes away.
Yeah.
And when we decide that we're going to kill a life, that is murder.
Yeah.
And when it's not God's decision, it's our decision.
God knows the number of our days.
And whether it's the man or the woman who makes the decision, I know sometimes a woman is kind of coerced into it, but that we need to remember that it's a lie, it's a deception, and we need to have pray that God opens the eyes of His people to this evil that's going on and this deception that Satan has blanketed us with.
Yes. Denise Meinhardt and Bob Quaid are our guests today on Ruach.Live. I'm Beth, and we're talking about abortion. And Denise is sharing the preventative services offered by Save the Storks. Bob is talking about this wonderful project called the ABM Project, the Aborted Babies Memorials, that are planted at churches or businesses to memorialize the lost babies and to remind people of this deep-rooted evil in our culture. In this next segment, Bob talks about the process of actually ordering and planting a memorial in a permanent location. And this is so important to me because I remember after we lost my brother in a car accident, that having a place where we could just go and just remember the life that he lived was a comfort to us. And it also reminded us of the life that he lived. That's what ABM Project is about.
That I think I asked in my narrative on the website, and we did it for 412, which is the first church here in the Temecula Valley, the first church that has ordered and installed one of these markers, and they had a dedication, and we were there, and I spoke about the marker as part of the dedication, and it was beautiful. You'll see the picture on our website, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to get more as these markers become installed, that we're going to be able to get pictures and put them on the website, the photo gallery, video gallery, whatever we can, and so your church's memorial marker will be featured on the website once it's installed. And I just want to clarify that if you go on the website, make sure you type in the www.abm project, because there's a lot of other domain names out there with ABM in them, so it'll pop you to all kinds of different ones. So to get to our particular website, you need to type in the www.theabmproject.com. So that's how you can go on. You can see the photos. You can see the description, what our mission statement is, what our vision statement is, how to order the memorial markers. You can see the 2 designs to select from for your church, and then it has ordering information. There's a direct link to the Affordable Marker Company, and they are already been aware of what the 2 options, 1 and 2. You can just call in your order and place your order through them. You're not coming through us. We're not making any profit on this. We're the messengers.
That's it.
Trying to get it out there, and you can work directly with our watch for the donations, and work directly with Affordable Markers for ordering the marker, and we would be happy to consult you, because our website is on there for both of us. You can our email address. You can contact us if you have any questions.
You've been listening to an interview with Denise Meinhardt from Save the Storks and Bob Quaid at the ABM Project, all about their efforts to address the problem of abortion in the sweet spot in our community, in our state, the nation, and really the world. And if you would like more information, you can always give us a call, and we'll get you connected with Bob and Denise. And thanks for being with me. It's Beth with Ruach.Live.
I just have one verse I want to say. It's Joshua 1:9, real quick. It's our verse of the year for Save the Storks. And it says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.